The Astros' struggles against sub-500 teams continue as they drop 2 out of 3 to the Oakland A's, a team that they really should be beating rather handily. Given how the first 2 games of this series had gone, I'm a little bit surprised to see that things turn out this way. They won the series finale rather handily, but our game plan in the first 2 games was terrible. And for those of you that are curious about the weird-looking camera angle, I don't know if you would notice a difference if you watched my videos regularly over the past couple of months or so. But I'll be addressing that here in a bit, so stay tuned. Goodness gracious, dude. This series was just really terrible. I mean, it was just torture for me to even watch the first 2 games. But we're going to talk about it anyway. But real quick, let's dive into a couple of injury updates, starting with Altuve. He had left Wednesday's game with what the Astros are describing as right side tightness, though Joe Espada did give us a good update prior to Thursday's game, saying that it's nothing that us fans should be worried about and that he's optimistic he shouldn't miss too much time. Worst case, he misses this series in Anaheim, but again, we'll see what happens. Next up on Chas McCormick, he unfortunately, after slamming into the wall, had fractured his finger, and he could be out for mostly for the rest of the season. He says he could come back towards the end of the season, but I mean, it's kind of sad to see him end like this, considering he seemed to have been finding his swing after he had been struggling prior to the D-backs series last weekend. But going into the first game of the series, the ending of this series was just, it was just gut punching. I mean, this could easily qualify for the loss of the year. But talking about the game itself here, Arrighetti did bounce back after a rather pitiful outing in Cincinnati, but unfortunately the offense fell silent against JP Sears for most of the night. They did rally against the A's bullpen to eventually tie the game up and send it into Manfred innings, but to be honest, dude, it really should not have gone there, because the Astros really had chances to win this game, or potentially take the lead at least, in the bottom of the 8th and also in the bottom of the 9th. But apparently, I guess we don't know how to bunt, because, otherwise we probably would have won this game. Even going into Manfred innings, Brian Abreu out of the bullpen was absolutely nails. He was hitting 100 miles an hour on his fastballs, and he seemed to have benefited from the 2 days off that the Astros were given prior to this series. But it doesn't explain the fact that the Astros could not, play small ball and actually bunt the winning run over to third base. Because in the 12th inning, I don't know how many innings this game had lasted, but in the 12th inning, the A's had laid down 3 straight bunts to score 2 runs off of Hector Neris. And I could have risked it with Brian Abreu again, but if I were in Joe Espada's shoes, I wouldn't have risked Brian Abreu for a 3rd straight inning, because, he could have also won that inning himself. Going on play-by-play, he did. It started off with the leadoff runner coming up and laying down a beautiful bunt down the third base line that Caratini did not make a throw over to first on. Then the next batter that came up laid down another bunt that was hit back to Hector Neris, but he could not make a clean play on, so 1 run scored there. And then they did it a 3rd straight time, laid down another bunt, which resulted in another run scoring, as Diaz, who was playing first base in this game, as I kind of look back on the replay here, didn't really take the proper path to actually make this catch. Personally, I think he really should have caught it. A veteran first baseman certainly would have, that's for sure. But it led to 2 runs on 3 bunt base hits for the A's, who, I guess for the sake of this video, we'll call them the Bunt Boys, because, that's more or less what we did. And then, although the Astros were able to chip at that lead in the bottom of the 12th inning, it was not enough for them to even tie the game up and send it even further. And to put the icing on the cake as to how frustrated I was about this loss, I destroyed my phone, and not destroyed to the point where it was completely unusable, because I'm still recording off of it to record this video. But the front and back are completely cracked. The phone is still usable, just FYI, but it's just completely shattered. So I was not a huge deal, considering I was going to be upgrading anyway. And also good timing, because the most recent models were announced earlier this week, but not really what I wanted to do. So this is going to turn into an expensive loss, to say for sure. But going into game 2 here, Hunter Brown went 5 innings. He did come back out for the 6th inning, but he only pitched to 3 batters in the 6th inning before recording it out. The Astros had entered the 6th inning up 3-2 before Kyle McCann had hit a go-ahead 2-run home run to the Crawford boxes to put the A's up 4-3, a lead that they would not relinquish, as Caleb Ferguson, who was the first guy out of the bullpen for the Astros, had allowed a single to Brent Rooker, which was an inherited runner, for him to score to make it 5-3 A's. Kyle Tucker, who came off the bench late in this game in the 8th inning, would get an RBI single to get the Astros within 1, but that was as close as they would get in this game as they solidified the series loss. This was a game, again, that we really should have won, but honestly, the more winnable of the 2 games in this series was the first game, because we were given so many chances to win this game, and it doesn't justify the fact that we don't know how to play small ball, because guess what we were doing during batting practice prior to Game 2 of this series? You guessed it, bunting. It's too little too late for you to even do that. You should have done that last night. And I mean, like, our tactical game plan for the first game of the series was absolutely terrible. Like, I mean, there's really no other way to put it. If that doesn't really solidify how mad I was on this game, then I don't know what is. But going into Game 3, the Astros were able to deny the sweep and get a win in the series finale. And then the Astros were able to reduce their magic number down to 13 with this win. And also, when I'm recording this video, the Mariners are still in action over on the West Coast against hosting the Rangers. So we'll see if our magic number drops over the course of the evening. But as of when I'm recording this video, for the time being, it is at 13 to clinch the division. So as the Astros are now 4 games up on the Mariners, again thing the result of that game. But diving here into the scoring itself right off the rip here, Jason Hayward got the scoring started with his first home run as an Astro into right field to make it 2-0 Astros, though the A's would rally off of the Astros bullpen, more specifically off of Brian Bray and Ryan Presley. They were able to each score 2 runs over the course of the 7th and 8th innings to tie the game at 2. And honestly, I thought another Manfred innings loss was on the way. But little did I know the Astros would put up a 4 spot in the bottom of the 8th inning to take a 6-2 lead into the 9th inning for Josh Hader. And well, it was a non-safe situation for him. But he was able to slam the door on the A's nonetheless, but not before he allowed a home run to right field that allowed the A's to get within 3 runs, but that was as close as they would get. And the Astros were able to salvage the series finale and go on a happy flight out to Anaheim, which is where they will be going next. But yeah, like I said, I mean, overall, it was a rather tough series. I mean, we went from getting straight A's against the A's to F's for failure, I guess you can say. But, I mean, it was an okay series. I mean, the Astros need to learn that playing down to the level of competition here is just not going to be doing you any good. Obviously, it's good to see that they're rising to the occasion and taking care of business against good teams. And by good teams, that can either be teams that are either above 500, are in the playoff picture, like say the Guardians, Royals, maybe the Dodgers, for instance. Teams that are either like going to be making the playoffs, like just, favorites to make the playoffs, or just currently in the playoffs, I guess you can say. But their record against sub 500 teams for the past couple of games, they have been swept in Cincinnati and then dropped the first 2 games of this series. So that's 5 straight losses against sub 500 teams. That, I mean, again, we really should have no issue taking care of business against sub 500 teams. But, I mean, for some reason, man, the A's have just been a pain in the butt for us to be dealing with late in the season. And that's been the case in previous years for some reason. I have no idea why. But the Astros, of course, they do still have a lot of ground to make up against the Cleveland Guardians here. I mean, they did lose this afternoon, but unfortunately for the Astros, they still have a good ways away before they can even come remotely close to catching them. Because, I mean, again, it did not help that they had dropped the first 2 games of this series against the A's. Otherwise, they certainly would be keeping pace with them. Chasing the 2 seed is certainly not out of the question just yet. Like, it's not like the Guardians have clinched it on us just yet. But, like, they're starting to pull away a little bit. Because, I mean, losing these games to sub 500 teams does not help when you are, A, trying to stave off the Mariners in a division race, and also chasing down the Cleveland Guardians for the 2nd seed in the American League, which also includes a first-round bye. Hopefully we can pick it up this weekend in Anaheim, because, and more specifically, if Verlander can pick it up, because he's going to be starting Game 2 of this series, and I mean, this could really be his golden opportunistic chance for him to try to get going against a sub 500 team here. So hopefully that'll happen. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for this video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, consider hitting that subscribe button. If you want to watch any of my other videos, click these ones here above my shoulders. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, like I said, and I'll see you guys in the next video.